What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin, and I'm back with another NBA video. If you haven't been checking out the sports news, Twitter, social media, ESPN, if you go to that, NBA.com, any of these sports websites, you know all about what's going on in free agency and a lot of the moves that's been made. I was waiting to do this video to see what big names that left. I was waiting for some of the big names to actually leave and sign whatever team they sign with. And I'm pretty much just gonna go through. I'm gonna go through just about everyone. If I leave off a few, I apologize, but there's quite a few to go through. Um, I'm just start with day one. Just go straight up because I actually got them, written down on notepad of all the guys signed day one, the guys signed day two, the guys signed day three, and there's still a few things happening today. One really big one that pretty much was like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do the video. Let's start with that. Damn it. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is all day one. Paul Millsap re-signed with the Atlanta Hawks. I believe the Orlando Magic will offer him more money, but he decided to stay on a 3-year, $59 million deal. Um, that's it's good for him. He was really a big part of that team's turnaround last year, and that surprise record. Next, we have Alfaruq Aminu, coming from Dallas, who signed a 4-year, $30 million deal. Um, you know, I guess they're bringing him there for his defense, or either that, or they just desperate because he's a solid defender, big body, but he last year he averaged 5 points, shooting 31%. It's kind of a lot, to pay a guy like this. Now, if he comes out there and plays good defense, I guess. But I think this is a little bit too much for a guy who's been very underwhelming, most of his career. Next week, Amir Johnson re-signed. No, he signed with the Celtics on a 2-year, $24 million deal. Also, we can get some of the other Celtics guys out the way. Let me see. Jonas Jerebko, 2 years, $10 million, and Jay Crowder re-signed on a 5-year, $35 million deal, which is actually pretty good. He was part of the reason his team turned around. And, you can see they're trying to add on to what their success. They still need that one go-to guy. Can they get him? I don't know. I don't think they can really entice anyone to actually come to Boston. Next one, Chris Middleton, 5-year, $70 million deal. I was saying that I thought they would keep him, and signing Greg Monroe, which is a guy who's coming up later. Signing Greg Monroe, keeping Chris Middleton. Then you have Jabari Parker come back. Very young team. We'll have to see how they play next year. See how Jabari Parker, how he comes back from that injury. Kyle Singler signs a 5-year, $25 million deal. Cheap deal, and they were able to resign a guy that they expect to come off the bench. The other guy that they need to resign is Enes Kanter. He still has not been re-signed, but I'm pretty sure the Thunder really want to re-sign him. Next, the Grizzlies signed Brandon Wright, 3-year, $18 million. That's pretty cheap. So Costa Kufis is pretty much the odd man out, unless they plan on re-signing him, which I seriously doubt, since they paid him. Brandon Wright was what they probably would have paid Kufis. Iman Shumpert resigns with the Cavs on a 4-year, $40 million deal. I'm assuming they're bringing him mainly back for his defense. He's a guy who can defend the other team's best perimeter player, and it will take pressure off LeBron James, will take pressure off Kyrie Irving, allowing those guys to do what they do offensively. I think that's the main reason they brought him back, but still, $10 million a year. I don't know. He has a player option in his last year, but he really struggled offensively in the finals. Couldn't make shots at the rim. His defense was good, but he can make the occasional spot up jump shot, but just doesn't make it as often, or didn't make it as often in that finals. Goran Dragic he returned to Miami, signed a 5 year, $90 million deal. Expected this to happen. Um, he, in a very weak point guard market for free agency, he was the number one guy. We knew he was going to get paid. And then, that's what happened. Next, Brook Lopez, and I'm doing both Brooklyn Nets guys. Brook Lopez signed a 3 year, $60 million deal, so he's actually gonna make more than what his player option was, which was his player option, I believe, was $17 million. Thaddeus Young signed a 4 year, $50 million deal, so they're paying both of these guys. I think that's a lot to be paying Thaddeus Young, and I think that's a lot to be paying Brook Lopez. To me, he's good offensively. But he's a weak defender, poor rebounder, and he hasn't been as healthy as he should be. Kawhi Leonard, we knew he was gonna resign with the Spurs. He got the max, 5 year, $90 million deal. We knew he was gonna come back. Last season's defensive player of the year. The Spurs were not gonna let him hit the market. The Spurs also re-signed Danny Green on a 4 year, $45 million deal. As I said in my video, I think he's underrated defensively. Didn't have didn't shoot the ball as well as he should have, but he know that the jump shot's there. But I still think this is kind of a lot. But this is a trend with a lot of these free agents where it's like guys who are good. They could be good, but not that much money, or hell, poor to average players getting paid huge contracts, more than their worth. DeMarre Carroll, I think he's one of the guys. I think he's a good player. He made a lot of strides for Atlanta. He is signing with Toronto Raptors on a 4 year, $60 million deal. There's no way he could pass it up. Atlanta wasn't going to pay him that much. There's no way he could pass. So you could completely understand why he went to Toronto, despite Atlanta being in a better situation. At no other point in his career, he'd probably get a contract like this. So can't be mad at him for taking that deal. I still think it's a lot, $60 million. But he does defend well, and he is an improved jump shooter. Next, we have Brandon Knight, who got a 5 year, $70 million deal from the Phoenix Suns. Like I said, a lot of potential there. Can he realize that potential? Apparently, the Suns believe in him. They're willing to pay him $70 million. We'll have to see. They're keeping Eric Bledsoe apparently. So Eric Bledsoe's probably going to be at the 2. So we'll see how Brandon Knight fits in. Going through training camp and an entire season with Phoenix Suns. Tyson Chandler. No way he could pass up on this deal. 4 year, $52 million deal by the Suns. This is a stupid move by the Suns, in my opinion. I believe he was at 10 points, 11 rebounds, something like that. I thought he played decently for the Mavericks. But he's 33 years old, and by the tail end of this deal, he's going to be 37. I think he's a little bit too old to be given that kind of contract. But, there's no way he can pass up on it. Paul Pierce signed a 3 year, $10.6 million deal with the Clippers. Now, I was kind of surprised by this deal, seeing that, a lot of people thought he was going to retire this year. And people think he's going to play 3 more years. Maybe 2. I don't see him playing 3 more years. So, we'll have to see. Does he play out this entire contract? I suspect he will, but I don't know. It's kind of weird seeing this guy who was really considering retiring. They gave him a 3 year deal. But, they got him cheap, and he was solid for the Wizards in the playoffs. He had some big time shots in crunch time. I think he really played well, for the Wizards, especially come playoff time. That's when you expect him to really step up. He's an older guy, and he's essentially replacing Matt Barnes. Problem is defensively, he's just really old. Next, Jimmy Butler, 5 year, $90 million contract from the Bulls. I knew he wanted to come back to Chicago. The whole question was Chicago willing to throw the money at him, and they did. You definitely can't lose a guy like that. Guy who's improved every single season. He can defend your team's best perimeter player, and he can average 20 plus a night, shooting a solid percentage. Next, Kevin Love re-signs with the Cavs, 5-year, $110 million deal. I think this is a lot for you could tell the Cavs were really willing to spend the money. With Shumpert's $40 million deal, bringing back Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, who Tristan Thompson I believe had a 5-year, $80 million deal. It's a lot to pay these guys. On the case with Kevin Love, I don't know. It's the third option. I just don't think they used him well last season, and I'm not sure looking ahead will they how differently will they use him. We'll have to see. $110 million is a lot, especially seeing the way he played last year. Draymond Green resigns with the Warriors. We knew that was happening. 5-year, $85 million deal. There's a lot of people that made a big deal out of it. That he makes more than Curry. Curry's gonna get his money. When his contract nears end, he's gonna get an extension. He's gonna get paid a lot. Draymond Green, he's very underrated. He was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, pretty much all last season, and a lot of the fans really just don't understand what he provides for that team. A versatile defender who can legitimately guard all 5 positions. He played center for them in games 4, 5, and 6 in the finals, and did a damn good job. This guy's only 6'7". He's undersized. He rebounds well. He can hit the three. He can drive to the bucket. He can pass. The guy's really versatile. And people don't understand his value with that with that Warriors team. He's probably the second most valuable player on that team. Of course, number 1 is Curry. But I figured the Warriors would keep him. I said that in the video. Ed Davis heads to Portland, signs a 3-year, $20 million deal. Blah. Shane Larkin, 2-year, $3 million deal with the Nets. Okay. Aaron Aflalo, 2 years, $16 million deal. The Knicks. And in terms of the contract, it's a pretty good contract. He still, I guess the reason he doesn't get a bigger contract because he still has something to prove. He's coming off an injury. With that Portland team, so they want to see how he's gonna play. But I still think it's a good deal. But the Knicks have way more problems than just signing him. Next, Monte Ellis, 4-year, $44 million deal with the Indiana Pacers. I really thought he was going to stay with Dallas, but Dallas decided to go a different route. Not sure, they probably didn't offer him as much money. Indiana did. And you get a guy who streaky, but a guy who can put up points. He can put up points. Defensively, he's undersized at about 6'3", playing the 2-guard position. You mainly get him there for his offense. Next one is I like this one. Greg Monroe signs a 3-year, $50 million deal with the Bucks. Now I talked about this one earlier. The Knicks were gonna pay him more than this, but he saw the potential. I'm pretty sure he saw the potential in that Milwaukee team. You just look at that Knicks team. Got Melo, who's coming off an injury. What else you got? But he sees this Milwaukee team. They're gonna get Jabari Parker back. They re-signed Middleton. You got Antetokounmpo. You got some young guys there. You got John Henson. You got some young guys there, and he's more than likely gonna be the go-to player, for them. He has issues defensively, but I think this was a good signing for the Bucks, who seem to be making some good moves, and no one's really talking about it. They didn't lose anyone, and they kept they kept one of their guys, and brought in one of the bigger names at this at the center position. Thomas Robinson signs with the Nets, 2-year deal. Dwayne Wade, this was big. I said he would stay with the Heat, and that's what ended up happening. He has a 1 year, $20 million deal. I know what he's doing. This deal's like, okay, you take this 20 million this year, and next year when the cap goes up, we're gonna give you a bigger contract. That's pretty much what they're doing. Robin Lopez signs a 4 year, $54 million deal. I don't understand this one. This guy's an average player. He's decent at that. He's a solid starting center. I believe what was it, 9? He averaged 9 and 7. Yeah, he's a solid center. $54 million. Out of all the contracts, this is perhaps probably one of the worst. But the Knicks were desperate. They couldn't. Nobody wanted to go there. And you can't blame Robin Lopez. Who else was gonna overpay for an average player like him? Next, Wesley Matthews signs a 4 year deal. It was 4 year. Hold on. It doesn't say exactly. I do not remember. He signs a 4 year deal with the Mavericks, and he's essentially replacing Monte Ellis. I thought he was gonna get a shorter deal so that team could gauge. Well, he better come off an Achilles injury. It's a big time injury. But they gave him a 4 year deal. We'll see how he plays. Marco Bellinelli signs with the Sacramento Kings on a 3 year, $19 million deal. It's a good signing. He's a guy who can score at an effective rate. Didn't get very much playing time with the Spurs, but I know he can play, and he's a guy you could bring off the bench, and he's a good 3-point shooter. Problem is consistency. Gary Neal signs a 1 year deal with $2.1 million for the Washington Wizards. So Gary Neal's really streaky, and if he jacks up some really stupid shots, the shot selection is awful. Next, Patrick Beverley signs a 4 year, $23 million deal. I don't remember talking about him in the video. I don't think he hit that top 10. He might have. It's an okay contract. He's coming off an injury, so we'll see how he plays. Will that injury slow him down? But what he does provide is solid, I guess, adequate jump shooter and a really good defender. The guy's he's like a gnat. They really could have used him against Golden State. They still would have lost, but I think he would have made it a little bit tougher for Steph Curry. Corey Brewer also resigns on a 3 year, $23.4 million deal with the Houston Rockets. So the Rockets ended up retaining 2 of their free agents. I believe Josh Smith is still out there. I don't see him leaving. I mean, he's good friends with Dwight Howard. There's no way he's going anywhere. Tobias Harris signs a 4 year, $64 million deal with the Magic. I said I think they should keep him. They did. They went out and paid him as a young player. That team is another team that's trying to build up. They couldn't really get any big time free agents. They were going after Millsap, couldn't get him, but they were able to resign Tobias Harris, a guy they wanted to keep. Derek Williams, 2 year, $10 million deal with the Knicks. It's the Knicks, man. Hold on. Rajon Rondo resigned. He signs with the Sacramento King on a 1 year, $10 million, $9.5 million deal. Okay, this is the gauge. Can he play? Is he how will he mesh with DeMarcus Cousins, which is the ticking time bomb? And we know about Cousins' maturity issues in the past. We know about what happened with Rondo and the Mavericks. So we'll have to see how that turns out. They're giving this 1 year deal to see if he can still play. Let's see. Next one, DeAndre Jordan signs with the Mavericks on a 4 year, I believe it's $80 million deal. So he's gonna go out there and get paid. My problem with this is yes, he's a good shot blocker. He finishes well at the rim, but he doesn't. He's not gonna guy you could throw the ball down to and get you get you a basket more times than not. He's a poor free throw shooter, and if you look at a lot of his points that he did get, it came off Blake Griffin lobs. Blake Griffin passing, which Blake Griffin is a good passer, and Chris Paul, probably one of the best passers in basketball. We'll have to see because the only guy I can see really setting the table for him is JJ Barea, and I don't even know if they gonna decide to keep Barea. So it'll be interesting to see. He does provide more than he's essentially like almost a younger Tyson Chandler. He's more athletic, obviously, but that's essentially what he's gonna be. More athletic, younger Tyson Chandler. Also, another one that just got announced today, Marcus Aldridge. Then he decided to go to the Spurs, and I mentioned that the Spurs being one of the teams. I knew he wanted to go to one of those Texas teams. Dallas went after him. A bunch of teams like the Lakers, Knicks, of course San Antonio, Houston. All these teams went after him. You kind of see he was leaning towards the Spurs. I don't know why, but there were even rumors going into it. He decides I think he said something on Twitter, and a lot has been reported that he's gonna sign with the Spurs. No specifics on his contract, but he is gonna go there. It's a huge deal for the Spurs. Playing under the system, I think Pop can get him out of that shooting those long ass jump shots and get him more back to the basket, get him more closer shots to the rim. I think Pop can fit him into the offense and get him playing closer to the basket, which he needs to do because that was an issue with him. He was essentially a shooting guard, the power forward position, but it pretty much does it. There's still some them names out there. Marc Gasol still out there, although I think he's going back to the Grizzlies. LeBron just waiting for the Cavs to sign some more guys. Kufis. There's a couple other names. Let me look at that name. Rodney Stuckey. Reggie Jackson's still there. David West. And J.R. Smith, Josh Smith. Those are the guys. Some of the I guess best guys that's still available. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. The video went on for 22 minutes, but there was a lot to talk about. Like I said, let me know what you think down in the comment section about this whole free agency craze. Of course, hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. Subscribe. Thanks for watching.